All right. Happy Tuesday, everyone, and welcome to Nurse Founder Forum live chat. A healthcare professional is accused of submitting over 906 million in fraudulent claims. Now, regardless of how that case ultimately turns out in court, it raises an important question for every nurse, physician, and healthcare entrepreneur. Could something in your business unintentionally put your license, your reputation, or your livelihood at risk? Tonight, we're not here to debate one specific case. We're here to learn how to protect ourselves, build compliant healthcare businesses, and avoid costly mistakes. Welcome everyone to another Nurse Founder Forum live chat series. I'm your host, Christopher Waikoko, the chairman for Nurse Founder Forum. Our mission is to help healthcare professionals succeed through our three pillars from healthcare, entrepreneurship, and most importantly, mental health. Today's topic could not be more timely. Lesson every nurse, physician, and healthcare entrepreneur should know. So, guys, before I introduce our guest, if you are listening or watching, just put your profession and what states or city you're at, and welcome to our show. Feel free to type your questions on this conversation. Let us all welcome a physician, attorney, and healthcare law expert who has spent decades helping healthcare organizations structure their businesses, navigate compliance, and reduce legal risk. No other than Attorney Raymond King.
Hello.
Hello, Attorney. How are you?
Fine. How are you tonight?
I'm doing great. Welcome to our show. For those of you who would not know, we are based in Dallas. And yeah, Attorney, I know you are double degree. I think more than that. We'd like to get to know you first, professionally and personally. How did you start this practice?
Um, the medical or the law? The um, I started my career as an otolaryngologist, head and neck surgeon, and I practiced in Oklahoma City for 10 years. And then in 1995, the Oklahoma City bombing happened 6 blocks away from my clinic. And in one day, I saw 17 people die right in front of me. It had such an impact on me that the week after the bombing is when I applied to law school. And by fall of that year, I was seeing patients 5 days a week, 4 nights a week. I went to law school. Second year of law school, I got married. Third year
Mm,
of law school, we had our first child. And in the delivery room is when I told my wife that I wanted to leave medical practice. And the following year, I was defending the doctors and nurses at Baylor Healthcare Systems in Big Baylor in Dallas. And so, yeah, so in 2004, that's when I left and I started my own law firm, and I've been in practice since 2000.
oh,
So,
okay. Hmm. Well, that's good. Like speaking of overachiever, you're a doctor. You're also a lawyer. In certain cases for law, what are the different type of healthcare industries that you just don't represent, but you also help to start? Correct.
yes, yeah. So there are basically two generally types of law practice. One is a litigation practice, another is a transactional practice. In a litigation practice, you spend most of your time in the courtroom, either as a plaintiff or defendant attorney. In the transactional practice, there are many facets of it, but you form companies, you will merge companies, buy companies, sell companies,
Mm-hmm.
you negotiate transactions, and you can also do internal compliance. And so I have a specialty practice in doing that, specifically with healthcare companies, healthcare corporations.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So either it's a med spa or it does this or home health.
Ambulatory surgery center, medical office building,
Mm-hmm.
standalone emergency room, those
Mm-hmm.
kind of any kind of entrepreneurial healthcare ventures. That's what I do a lot of. But I
Mm-hmm.
also defend individual doctors, nurses, dentists, chiropractors um, before their respective licensing boards.
Yeah, that's why for those audience that you're not aware, Nurse Founder is not just for nurses. This is for allied healthcare entrepreneurs. So, what are the top mistakes that Because right now, especially I don't know if you heard the news about this fraud, the $900 million case. Um, what have you heard about this case? There's a 1 gram falsification of documents. Those are the things that ongoing investigation.
Yeah, one of the problems with these big cases is many times the fraud and abuse is widespread, and they they go to very extreme lengths of fraud. Sometimes they go as far as scheduling or ordering procedures for patients that are already deceased.
Mm-hmm.
Um, or they there's a lot of upcoding that happens, or sometimes patients that don't qualify for certain um, treatments or procedures, or in the case of either hospice patients or nursing home patients, sometimes they'll order them things on patients that don't even realize what's going on.
Yeah, that's very
So,
alarming. Like people that deceased, it that's it's
yeah,
in the Philippines. It's ghost voter now. Here it's a ghost patient. They're
yeah,
trying to, so which means this is a bigger problem. It's not just like a one-man job. There's one healthcare
yeah.
professional to another,
Yeah,
right?
there are usually many players involved. Sometimes there's a third party that is a broker, the broker's patients, or the broker's, names with social security numbers and addresses. And they'll fraudulently use those as patients.
Mm-hmm.
You
Oh wow.
know, they'll, yeah,
Those that have massive database, and then
yes,
everybody got their own cuts. So that's
yes.
the thing with this. Any type of fraud, correct me if I'm wrong, there's no statute of limitation. It could open as far as the beginning. That's why this
Yeah, for
balloons
for
to.
fraud, there's
Mhm,
not a stat. Yeah, for fraud, definitely.
mhm. Yeah, and then I know that Philippines is one of the biggest im nursing that go here in the US. What are the biggest legal mistakes that nurses, physicians, and healthcare entrepreneurs make when starting a healthcare business?
Oh my goodness. Well, so there are different categories of kinds of mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
mishaps that you can make legally, but I would say stick to the basics. Documentation, proper documentation is key. Make sure that you're not making any alterations to a medical record. If you
Yes.
make any entries, make sure you not only sign it, but date and time it. If
Mm-hmm.
you are doing a late entry, label it as a late entry and
Mm-hmm.
make a justification why you're making a late entry. There
Document.
are,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and in the case of, for example, Medicare or third-party payer
Mm-hmm.
insurances, sometimes they will have requirements needed in the documentation in order to approve the reimbursement for that procedure or that treatment. And so it's important to know what are the required documentation to be able to move forward. Otherwise, if you don't have the required documentation, it's not uncommon for Medicare to send you correspondence asking for a refund. You
Mm-hmm.
don't have much time to repay that money.
Yeah, because typically the Medicare give you time to do your documentation, and that should be, especially when I used to work with the physical therapists, they have a window period that they need to do this documentation within the time frame, and because it's also like the bulk of patients, it does not excuse any healthcare worker not to do their documentation.
Yeah.
But how about those people doing side jobs like IV injections, or nurse at night in the morning, or floor nurse in the night, and they do side jobs? What are the things that you've noticed?
Sure. So for anybody that is doing, a side gig, okay,
Mm-hmm.
side job, I would definitely recommend, just as a matter of risk management, that you form a professional entity so that you at
Mm-hmm.
least have some kind of corporate protection. Now, it will not defend you against um, healthcare negligence, but it may help you with respect to providing some shield on other non-healthcare related um, liabilities that might be associated with it.
Yeah,
You
like
know,
general liability, people just slip and fall to
exactly.
your at the workplace, but not your license are still compromised.
Yes, yes. And
They
also
need to get,
too,
yeah.
yeah, no, also too, when you're getting malpractice insurance, um, I think that the carriers will also appreciate if you have a corporate entity and will cover that in addition to you professionally in a professional negligence claim, you know.
Corporate entity, you mean a PLLC? Is it LLC enough,
Um,
or they need to be an S or C corporation?
okay, so you need to make a distinction. A PLLC is a
Mm-hmm.
professional limited liability corporation. A
Mm-hmm.
PA is a professional association. Both are entities that require a professional license in that state
Mm-hmm.
where that entity is formed. So if you are a medical doctor, if you have a PLLC, all the members in that PLLC must have a Texas license. If you're a
Mm-hmm.
nurse with a PLLC, all the members must have a Texas nursing license in that
Mm-hmm.
PLLC. Okay. They must have the same kind of professional license. Now, recently, there's been legislation that allows a medical doctor and a chiropractor to be in the same professional entity so long as they maintain their scope of practice. And that is a whole other, that's called an integrated medical practice that might be outside the scope of our discussion. But
Yes.
certainly a corporate entity is what I would recommend if you're doing a so-called side gig. The other thing I would recommend is
Mm-hmm.
when you're doing this again, let's call it a side gig, make sure that there's at least a medical director or that the practice that you're engaging in is within the scope of your training and experience. For example, if you're a nurse that is only seeing pediatric patients, and then on the weekends you're doing Botox injections, there's a problem there.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. Um, if you
Because
are a nurse,
these are two different
yes,
expertise. Yeah, those are two
exactly,
different
exactly.
expertise, and because a lot of people like this are under contract, like under contract, like contractors. So with it, their due diligence for nurses or whoever trying to do this, they need to ask for the scope of service, right? And then if there's any
Yes,
position that would that under with this company, like ABC company XYZ, they need to do their proper due diligence, right?
that's correct.
Hmm.
That's correct.
And then, yeah, if this is having okay, business entities and is one, they also need to get the type of what type of insurance. Is it error and omission, malpractice insurance? What are the
Sure,
other?
definitely when you're seeing patients, you have to
Mm-hmm.
have malpractice or professional liability insurance. Okay. There's a
Mm-hmm.
different professional liability policy for medical doctors, just like there is for nurses, for nurse practitioners. They're very uniquely designed products, insurance products for that kind of liability. When you're talking about other insurance like errors and omissions or general liability, that is mainly for entities. If you own the clinic and the clinic, you want coverage for somebody slipping and falling in that clinic, your
Mm-hmm.
general liability insurance would be important for that, for covering that. Your professional negligence insurance will not cover a slip and fall in your medical clinic
Mm-hmm.
because that's
Yeah.
not a case of malpractice. Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So if it's something that out of state, they need to get a different. They need to put any the states that they practice, like this, like telehealth. How do we deal with this?
Sure. Well, there are actually some insurance products, insurance policies that will have multi-state coverage for telemedicine practice. Okay.
Mm,
It's a unique insurance product, but they would have to talk to their insurance broker to be able to
Provider.
find that product. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
So, what are the legal compliance steps should they take before seeing their first client? So, we talk about the business registration, the insurance. They also need to check whether they need to do licensing, right, or certification.
Well, you need to ask me a more specific question.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
For
what
med,
kind of entity are you talking about? Is this home
for
health care? Is this a med spa? Is this
yeah,
uh,
for med spa, let's say, because the most common are med spa. You know, they do injections,
sure.
that's vitamin B12, those things
Yeah,
that a lot of that's very popular right now.
sure. Well, in the state of Texas,
Mm-hmm.
a med spa is considered a medical practice.
Mm-hmm.
You must be practicing under the license of a medical doctor in a medical practice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? If you are a nurse practitioner or a physician's assistant working in one of these, you need a delegation protocol agreement. That's an agreement that shows the scope of your practice. You need to have policies and procedures in place because if you get tagged by the Texas Medical Board or the Texas Board of Nursing, many times it is for the unauthorized practice of medicine. Um,
Mm-hmm.
or practicing outside the scope of your practice. And unauthorized practice of medicine is a felony. So these are very serious allegations when you are doing that. And I just run into too many instances where um, a nurse will think that they can just start a med spa without a medical director, or worse yet, they'll have a medical director in name only that's never even been, they've never set foot in the spa, and
Oh,
they
so
just
it's
have them sign off.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I didn't know those things can happen. So they need to be physically located. For example, in Dallas, so they need to be the whoever they're working with the doctor. They need to be physically present on that area, on that city, right?
Well, so not necessarily. So there are companies, some practices where what they do is they have a telemedicine
Mm-hmm.
physician or nurse practitioner that will perform what's called a GFE, which is a good faith examination,
Mm-hmm.
which is when a patient is admitted there, they do the initial history and physical on that patient. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
However, when there are procedures that are done on that patient, you need to make sure there's oversight from the medical director.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There.
Um, as long as the nurses are qualified and trained and you have policies and procedures in place, then the physician may not necessarily need to be present, but should be available to actually physically be there if necessary.
Mhm. All right, there you go, guys. What are your takeaways? Please comment below and let me know if you have further questions. One of the question here, if somebody like a healthcare professional receive an audit or under investigation, what is something that you suggest or would you advise?
Well, definitely, if you're being audited, I would definitely call a healthcare attorney.
Mm-hmm.
And also, you need to know which branch is actually auditing you. Is it
The board of
is it
nursing.
the Center
Mm-hmm.
of Medicare and Medicaid Services? Is it the IRS? Is it the TBON? Is it the TMB? There's so many different boards, licensing boards that can actually do an audit. You need to know specifically who is doing the audit so that you know exactly what they're looking for because they're all going to be looking for different things.
Yeah, that's it's important to have the letter and then write to consult a lawyer on specific situation on department, whether it's board of nursing, whether it's civil, whether it's criminal cases. So those kind of things it really matter. And do not just reply without the guidance of a lawyer, right? So all of these
Yeah.
things, if they would like to get hold of you, what is there any website if they need a further consultation on specific matter?
Sure. Well, my website is rkinglaw.com. That's RKINGLAW.com. My email is rking@rkinglaw.com.
Mhm.
I'm happy to respond to any inquiries that way.
All right, guys, there you go. This is a bit, we're just scratching the surface. That's why if you want to get to know more, please be part of our July 25 because Attorney Raymond King is also doctor will be part as one of our panelists July 25 from 8 a.m. till 7 p.m. So if you have need to know more information, please go to our website. So to everyone watching, remember this. So Attorney Raymond, what would be your final advice or tip for those people on the healthcare professions?
Wow. Well, again, the basic thing is proper documentation.
Mm-hmm.
Stay within the scope of your training. Um, Make sure that you are actually performing or you're documenting exactly what is performed. If there's a complaint from the patient, make sure you document their complaints and document, what you did to address those complaints. You never want to just, fire a patient if they have a complaint. You don't want to abandon a patient. Um, Also, make sure that you've got malpractice coverage. I've had people that have approached me before because they didn't pay their insurance premium and their malpractice ran out and they're practicing outside of the expiration of their malpractice coverage, and all of a sudden they're paying out of pocket to defend themselves in a malpractice claim. That's very, very expensive.
Yeah, never,
Yeah.
never. Personally, never let your insurance lapse. If you're changing your credit card or you close your credit card, you need to update that payment. It's really important. So that's why those practical tips can save you in the long run, and that's why Attorney Raymond, we said that in the healthcare as a nurse, protect prevention is always better than cure. The same thing business. So protecting your healthcare starts long before an investigation. It starts with building your business the right way, maintaining strong compliance, and seeking trusted legal guidance when needed. Again, thank you, Attorney
Mhm.
Raymond King. And this is our, if you want to see the live or the replay, it's going to be on our YouTube channel. And also, if you want to catch one of our panelists, Attorney Raymond will be part of our July 25 forum. Don't forget to join us, the first ever. This is not just for nurse. We just call it Nurse Founder, but this is for actually allied healthcare professional, where healthcare leaders, entrepreneurs, and industry leaders will come together to learn, connect, and grow because together we build the next generation. Again, guys, see you next Tuesday and please RSVP on our July 25 Healthcare Founder and Summit. Thank you, Attorney Raymond. Stay
Thank you.
safe.
Bye bye.
Mhm. Bye. Stay ka lang dyan.
Oh, stay. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, mag-end na. Yeah, mag-end lang ako.